You look around today and it feels like everything is just getting more and more divided, right? It seems like constant conflict is just the new normal. But what if there's another way? Today, we're going to pull apart the language that divides us and then explore a totally different blueprint for coming together. And the whole idea for this explainer really revolves around this powerful quote from the Buddhist master Thich Nhat Hanh. The idea that both of these potentials, for conflict and for peace, they exist inside every single one of us. So the real question is, which of those seeds are we being told to water?
So here's our game plan. We're going to start by breaking down this pattern of political language, what we're calling the war within. And then we'll shift gears completely to look at a powerful alternative that comes from some timeless wisdom, the peace within.
Okay, so first up, the rise of saviors. All over the world, on all sides of the political spectrum, we're seeing this really powerful strategy. You have leaders who don't just present themselves as politicians, but as, well, as redeemers, almost like they're on some kind of divine mission.
This approach actually has a name. It's called messianic populism, and it's this incredibly potent mix of spirituality and politics. The whole point is to create this unbreakable emotional bond with followers by framing politics not as policy debates, but as this epic spiritual battle between good and evil.
And what's so fascinating is seeing how this savior story gets adapted to fit different cultures. In Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro's slogan was Brazil above everything, God above everyone. He was the spiritual protector. In India, you've got Narendra Modi, who walks this fine line between being seen as almost divine while also being a humble man of the people. Then there's Argentina's Javier Milei, who openly says God gave him a mission. And look, this isn't just a right-wing thing. In Venezuela, Hugo Chavez built a kind of secular religion around his Bolivian revolution.
Okay, so this whole savior thing, it's a major piece of a much bigger strategy, what you could call the populist playbook. And it works by creating this massive divide right down the middle of society. At its core, populism runs on a really simple but really powerful idea, that all of a country's problems are caused by some corrupt elite. It creates this super clear us versus them story that energizes the people, but, almost always makes social divisions even deeper. But here's where it gets really interesting, because while all populism is about division, they don't all define the people in the same way. Left-wing figures like Jean-Luc Mélenchon in France tend to have a more inclusive view. The people are all active citizens. On the flip side, right-wing populism often uses a more exclusive definition, defining the people by things like nationality or ethnicity.
Right. So once you've defined your us, the playbook absolutely 100% requires you to define a them.
And this is where the blame game kicks into high gear. This strategy creates this constant feeling of crisis by pointing fingers at a whole list of enemies. You've got political elites, immigrants, the media, global groups. The goal is always to have a scapegoat ready for whatever problems people are facing.
And this is where things can get really, really dangerous. This kind of rhetoric can lead to the dehumanization of the other side. They stop being opponents and start being seen as actual threats that need to be removed. This meme here, which says political opponents aren't people, is just a chilling example of where that road can lead.
It all just forces you to step back and ask a pretty fundamental question. What if we're looking for the enemy in all the wrong places? What if the real fight is actually somewhere else entirely? So, let's switch gears and explore that alternative path, one that turns the search for an enemy from something external to something internal.
Thich Nhat Hanh drops this revolutionary idea on us. He says, the real enemy, it isn't some other group of people. It's the despair, the anger, the fear, those seeds that are inside every single one of us. And his advice here is so practical. It's not some abstract idea. It's about taking care of your own inner peace first. By watering those seeds of peace, you build up the strength and the stability you need to then face and transform the seeds of war, both in yourself and in the world, without getting totally overwhelmed by them.
And the Dalai Lama points to the exact same thing. He identifies fear, anger, and jealousy as the real destroyers of our peace of mind. And his solution? His antidote? It's compassion.
But again, this isn't just some nice, lofty ideal. The Dalai Lama actually offers a practical, scalable blueprint for how to build a more compassionate world, literally from the ground up. He argues that real change doesn't start in the United Nations or in halls of power. It starts with one person. Just one person finds their own inner peace, and then they share what they've learned with, say, 10 friends. And then each of those 10 friends shares it with their friends, and you create this incredible ripple effect, this wave of change that just keeps expanding.
And here's the crucial part. For this to work, it has to be for everyone. The Dalai Lama calls for an education in compassion that's based on science, on common sense, on our shared experience as human beings, not on any one religion. That way, it's something that can reach all 7 billion of us.
And that really leaves us with a powerful question to think about. In a world that is just flooded with stories about saviors and enemies, maybe the most important choice we have to make is an internal one. Which seeds are we going to choose to water? The seeds of war or the seeds of peace?
Everything we've talked about in this explainer was built on the research and the profound teachings from these key sources, which really helped us unpack these big, complicated ideas.
Getting to the heart of the matter isn't always easy, but here we always look for the essence. Thank you for your time and your curiosity. Subscribe for more answers, and as always, thanks for watching.